For many years, the fear of failure held me back from accomplishing my goals and objectives and turning my dreams into reality. And I used to let that hold me back. But I finally found a way to overcome it and start making progress in my life. And today, I'm going to share with you those exact 3 strategies that helped me overcome fear and start to move and accomplish goals in my life. Welcome back to another episode of Be Unafraid podcast. My name is Fortune, and today we're going to talk about how I have managed to overcome fear of failure and to start making progress on my goals. So let's dive right in. So I used to imagine what my life would look like if I was not afraid to take action on the ideas that I had in my head. And I finally decided to stop being a dreamer and have all these great ideas in my head, all these ideas that I never took action on, when I realized that successful people have a bias towards action, meaning that they do not let great ideas die on the vine. And when they have a great idea, they execute it with so much speed and passion, and that's what makes them successful, is because they are willing to have those ideas and actually take action on them. So when I changed my relationship with failure, that's when things started to change for me. When I heard the quote that a man who tries and fails is greater than a man who wishes he could do something but is just too afraid to try, that completely changed how I looked at fear, and it started to have me question myself and really start to reflect inwardly and think about, when I get to the end of my life, whenever I get there and I start looking back and reflecting, do I want to be the person that looks back and says that I wish I could have done that? I wish I could have said this. I wish I could have traveled here. I wish I could have gone there. I wish I could have tried these 2, 3, 4 business ideas. I wish. When I thought about me being that person, that scared me so much that I decided that I don't want that future outcome to become part of my reality, and that I needed to find a way to overcome these feelings of fear, these feelings of being afraid to fail, being afraid of other people judging me. So I started to look for methods and started to look for advice and reading books and watching videos. And I saw a video by Rabbi Simon Jacobson, who was doing an interview on the Mulligan Brothers interview podcast. And he said that many people think that taking no risk is actually safe, but they don't actually realize that the greatest risk of all is not taking any risk at all. Because if you don't take any risk and you don't live the life that you're meant to live, you will never know what you could have been. And that shifted my thinking and made me realize that I need to figure out a way to move on past this fear of failure, because I have a lot of great ideas in my head and there's a lot of things that I want to do, and I needed to move past that. One of the things that really helped me to start to unlock that gate into what the other side of fear could look like is I started doing things that put me in uncomfortable positions and would stretch me and would challenge me mentally, and for me physically, because I've always been someone who's drawn to physical fitness and athletics. So for me, the physical aspect of a physical activity translate to a mental aspect. So going through adversity, putting my body through adversity, I decided to start doing mixed martial arts. And that was about 2 years ago when I started doing mixed martial arts. And about 3 months ago, I competed in my first amateur mixed martial arts tournament, which I ended up losing that fight. But the lessons that I learned from that fight and the emotions that I had during training camp and leading up to that fight, and the constant feeling of not knowing what was going to happen, being afraid of what people are going to think, what people are going to say, being afraid to lose, and that being an indictment on myself. All of that experience helped me to start now to unlock what life can look like outside of failure, because I learned that from losing that fight, that my life remained my life. Even after losing my first amateur MMA fight, my friends still thought of me as my friends. My family still thought of me as my family. The people that loved me still loved me. And mentally, I actually became stronger. Even though losing sucks, it helped me now to realize that fear is really a construct of our mind, and it's not a real thing. During that training camp, there was a video I watched by Master Shi Hangyi, who is a Shaolin monk from Shaolin Temple, Europe, and he did a video called How to Overcome Fear. And the way that he explained it was, there is a method that if you are afraid or if you want to deal with some type of emotion, then you can use a method that I've used and continue to use to this day called the RAIN method. RAIN. The R stands for recognize, the A stands for acknowledge, and the I stands for investigate, and the N stands for not identifying. So during camp in particular, during that time where I was training every single day and going through very, very tough physical fitness, for anybody who's ever trained for a fight before, you know that it's a pretty brutal thing, not only on your body, but mentally, because you're dealing with a lot of emotions that have to do with the courage to get in the cage and fight, the confidence to even step up to an opponent and fight, and just optimism and pessimism. One day you feel good, the next day you don't. So I used the RAIN method that I learned from Master Shi Hangyi to deal with those emotions, and it's something that really helped me. So I started with the R, which was for me to recognize that something inside of me was out of balance. There was something that was not the usual feeling that I have, and something that was not normal, or rather something that was normal but felt foreign to me, and my spirit felt unsettled a lot during those times. So I needed to recognize that I was out of balance at that time, because you cannot change something unless you recognize that it exists, unless you recognize that it is there. So that was the first step. And then after recognizing, I allowed myself to experience this emotion. And at the time, it was fear. Fear was the main one. I allowed myself to feel that fear. I recognized that something is wrong. And now I'm going to allow it to circle within my soul, within my spirit, within my body, and to not try to push it back, and to just feel that emotion. After allowing it to go through my soul, I then investigate, which is what the I stands for. I investigated, why am I feeling this emotion of fear? What is it about my mindset today? What is it about the words I'm thinking, about the experiences I'm thinking? What exactly is the root cause of these emotions? So I needed to investigate that and to start asking myself questions and to dig deeper and really ask, why am I afraid to step into that cage and fight somebody else? Why am I afraid of what people are going to think? Why am I afraid that I'm going to fail? Why am I even thinking that I'm going to lose that fight in the first place? Am I a pessimistic person or an optimistic person? All those thoughts, I allowed myself to now start to investigate into them and to start to understand the makeup of who I was at that time. Then the fourth part of the RAIN method is not identifying or non-identification, meaning that I needed to realize that my emotions exist, but my emotions are not who I am, meaning that me as a person, who I am not defined by my emotions. I am not a fearful person. I am not a scared person. I am not an anxious person. I am just who I am, no matter the day, no matter the time. But it's just that in my mind, I create these thoughts and patterns that then translate to these emotions like fear and anxiety, and understanding that that is a figment really of our imagination. It's something that we make up. And if you can separate the human from the emotion, and you realize that the human is just the human and nothing else and nothing more, and those feelings are something that we allow to come into our mind and our consciousness, and they become real to us. Once I separated those two, it really helps me now to understand that I'm actually not afraid of anything. I'm creating these scenarios in my head about what people are going to think when I lose, but that hasn't even happened. I don't even know what they're going to think when I lose. I haven't even heard anything. Where is the evidence that it's going to happen, and where is the evidence that it's not going to happen? I never had that. I don't have that. So when I realized that, it changed how I started to view my emotions at that time. And I still felt afraid. I still felt that fear and anxiety and lack of courage and confidence. But I was able to now walk alongside of it, realizing that it's there, but it's not going to stop me this time, because I know that it's really not a real thing. This really solidified in my mind, as it should solidify in your mind as well. And this should be your key takeaway here, is that failure is a learning tool. It's a tool that you use to learn more about yourself and your situation. And it's not your enemy. Don't look at it as something that you have to fight constantly and defeat, because that's not going to happen. But if you look at it as a tool, and you look at it as you feeling afraid, actually means that you're walking the right path. You're actually stretching yourself and growing and doing things that are going to bring positive change inside of yourself. Then when you look at it that way, it becomes a lot easier to walk alongside of it. Strategy number 2 that I have used all throughout my life recently and in my amateur mixed martial arts fight is to choose to fail fast, meaning that now that I have used the RAIN method to do more of an internal self audit and to really understand what I was going through and what I'm going through, I now chose to tackle that failure as quickly as I can. And this is because I got tired of wondering if I was good enough to do something. I got tired of wishing to do something in my mind. I got tired of constantly having these ideas and these wants to go do something, but being afraid to do it. So I decided that I would rather fail while trying than not even try at all. The man who tries and fails is greater than the man who wishes he could but never actually tries. And that quote is something that I carry inside of me these days. And every time that I feel afraid, every time that I feel scared to do something, I try to reflect back on that quote and try to reflect back on that mentality that go and attack it fast. Get it over with fast. Think back at the MMA fight that you lost and remember how fast that night went. And when you woke up the next morning, it almost felt like it really didn't happen. And I felt the same. I felt like the same person And days later, I actually felt like an even better person. But I am choosing now to reflect back on those times and realize that the faster I choose to tackle failure, the faster I will learn, the faster I will grow, and the faster I can accomplish my goals and my dreams, because I'm not wasting any more time. I'm not sitting there just thinking and thinking and thinking and doing nothing and wishing and just talking. I'm actually out there doing. Whether I'm scared or not, I'm going to start doing. So take that mentality and try to implement that in your life and in your goals. Choose to go after those uncomfortable situations. Choose to put yourself in a position where you can fail as fast as you can, because the faster you can get through those failures, the quicker you can start to get to that good stuff that you always dream about. Which brings me into point number 3, which is to vow to never stop. Once you choose to attack something, once you put skin in the game, do not go back. Don't stop, keep going, and just attack and attack. And one of my favorite quotes that I absolutely love is by Brandon Sanderson, who wrote the fantasy novel series, The Way of Kings. And he, in that story, posed a question. One of the characters in the story was going through something, and there was somebody else that was talking to him, and they posed a question to him and said, "What is the most important step a man can take?" The answer to that was, the most important step a man can take, it's not the first one. It's always the next one. The next step that you take is always the most important step that you can ever take. And choosing to vow to never stop means that you're always taking that next step. Even if you fail and you misstep, you take a couple steps backwards, you always take the next step again forward. And that is something that I have vowed, and that is something that I've learned that successful people that I work with and I have seen and watch and listen to always take the next step. So if you notice, they're always moving, they're always in constant motion, they're always doing something. And when I decided to take on that as part of my philosophy in life and part of my values and principles, I started to make progress. I started to make progress in my career. I started to make content. I started to build this YouTube channel and this podcast and many more things that I have in my mind that I want to do and I'm going to do. Now I know that I'm not going to stop at anything. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to take that next important step, because the most important step a man can take is always the next one. And to really solidify that point in my head and to you is a quote by Elon Musk. And Elon says that when something is important enough to you, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. That is very powerful to me, because what that means is you will do something even if the odds are not in your favor, if it's truly, truly important to you, if it's something that really shakes you at your core, you will stop at nothing, no matter how scared you are. You're just going to vow to never stop. And understanding that, and now really looking at all the decisions in my life and all the things that I want to do and my mission and vision and purpose in life, I started to question, is that truly important to me? I wasn't doing it before. I was thinking it, talking about it. I wasn't doing it before. So does that mean it's not important to me? That had me questioning myself, and that had me really looking into, what do I want? Who do I want to be? Where do I want my life to be? Starting that journey and auditing yourself and going through that path of self-discovery and self-development and really finding those important things that you want to do and writing down how important those things are to you is going to fire you up so much to where it doesn't matter what's standing in your way. It can be somebody else, it can be something else standing in your way, or it can be yourself standing in your way. If something is important enough to you, you will do it despite the odds not being in your favor. And that's another philosophy that I've adopted and something that I try to remind myself every single day, and you should too. So to help you with building the mindset of a successful person or a value-driven person, you need to shift your mindset in certain specific ways. I made a video that walks you through the mindset shifts that I've made that have helped me accomplish my goals faster, and I think those can help you too. So check out this video right here. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a wonderful day.